Hello, Tammy. How are you today?
I am excellent. How are you doing, Kim?
I'm doing pretty good. I'm really excited that you're on the show because you are the expert with HSP. And maybe let's start by, can you tell us what HSP means and how you got started in it?
Sure. That's kind of probably a little bit of a long answer. I'll try to be concise.
Okay, that's fine.
And first of all, HSP, um, highly sensitive person, high sensitivity. I actually like the term highly sensing person. Everyone knows it as highly sensitive, but sensitivity kind of gets a negative connotation in our culture, I think.
Yeah.
A lot of times people hear that word and think, oh, that's just something you need to like take care of or get rid of
Yes.
or something. You know, manage that and then, get back with me. But I like the highly sensing piece because that is a lot about what it's about. And then it also tends to trigger people to go, oh, what's that? More than just assuming that they know what it is. But yeah,
So
so
an HSP is a highly sensitive person or a highly sensing person.
yeah, which I
Okay.
prefer. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. And, so high sensitivity, those of us who are highly sensing, it's about depth of processing of information. So our brains are actually created slightly differently than those who are non-highly sensing. They've done a lot of research and stuff and shown different parts of the brain that are a little bit different. So we process things much more deeply. We give more meaning to things. And then we have things like, I don't know if you're familiar with, mirror neurons. Those are the things that you see someone smile or laugh or cry, and then you do the same thing.
Mhm.
Or you yawn because somebody's yawning, or so those are those things that in our brain that says, oh, let's connect and and be similar, or just increase that connection, whatever, by doing what they're doing. So ours are activated much quicker and at a deeper level. A lot of different things that are different, but it's really about that processing. So I like to talk about it as being a giant sponge with not so great filters, or not as many filters.
Okay.
So we're constantly, bringing in all of this input all at the same time. And I always use capital letters, like we process everything and really deeply. So those who are able to just ignore stuff or let things go, that's usually not us, because we just take it all in and consider everything, give it everything a lot of meaning. And that can be really challenging, but it can also be really, really amazing. So it tends to be broken down into, like, what Elaine Aron, she's the pioneer of this, the term. She coined it. She did all the research. Talks about it with the acronym DOES, which kind of helps everyone to remember DOES. So
Okay.
the depth of processing, as I've talked about. And then we have O for overwhelm or overstimulation. We have a lot of sensory stimulation, much more than average. Again, so we have all of that input, and we're reacting to our environment, our emotions, other people's energy, other people's emotions, all of those kinds of things. And that can lead to overwhelm, not necessarily. And if we have the right tools, not nearly as much. And then we have E for emotional reactivity and also empathy. So we tend to be more empathetic, but we also feel other people's feelings. Ours are really, really intense. Sometimes that means we have like overreactive experiences. People will think, oh, you're like way too emotional. But sometimes we get tired of hearing that, or it's just really intense. And so then we actually start to stuff our feelings. And so sometimes people will think that we're not feeling oriented at all. And sometimes that's just a
Yes.
protective mechanism. But we have that emotionality piece,
Okay.
and empathy, and a lot of compassion that kind of works, connects with that empathy. And then we have S for sensing the subtle, being aware of all of those little things in life that a lot of other people just don't pay attention to. They might notice, but not think anything of it, or just not notice at all. So we tend to notice all of that stuff that's around us. So
Yeah.
so that's kind of the gist of how we process things.
Mhm.
And a lot of times it takes us longer to process things because we look at the big picture, basically, and kind of put ourselves in other shoes, or say, oh, what about this and this and this? We can really get caught up in what ifs. Yeah. Oh, okay, well,
Ah,
what about this? And that can be positive, because you consider all of these potentials, and it's really good for, like, projects at work or
right.
things like that. But like, again, if we don't have the right tools or the right mindset about it, it can really, kind of drag us down, because we can get into that worry, worst case scenario kind of situation pretty deeply because we're thinking, this could happen and this could happen and that could happen. And so it could be stuff that we don't want to have happen, or it could be like amazing stuff. Oh yeah, but that could happen and that could happen. So if we can shift into that more positive mode, it's a lot more manageable for sure. But
yeah, how did you get into this type of work?
Yeah, so I have a master's in counseling. I worked as a counselor for a long time, kind of out of the gate, not being aware of high sensitivity as a trait. I always knew that I was super sensitive, always felt like I was kind of the odd man out. Nobody understood me, and there was something weird about me, and I needed to get that under control. But I didn't recognize it as a trait, because the same time I was going through my master's program was when Elaine Aron was doing all of her research. So it wasn't on the radar and nobody talked about it, and I didn't know anything about it. So I ended up working with, primarily my clientele was all abuse survivors of all kinds of, the whole range. So, really intense. And I always thought I was doing really well, not taking it home with me.
Right.
But it was cumulative. And again, like all being the sponge and pulling it all in and hearing all these stories. And one day I woke up, hit a wall, did not want to work anymore.
Wow.
I made some changes, just didn't work, and I couldn't do it anymore. So I stopped doing counseling. I wanted to still be in the helping field, and I did kind of a 180-ish. I mean, I went to massage school and learned massage and energy work. And those were a really good fit, especially the energy piece.
Yeah, totally.
Doing massage anymore, but I did that for a period of time, and then I really started missing the emotional piece, from the counseling. But I knew I didn't want to go back that same direction, so that's when I stepped into coaching.
Yeah,
and that was a good composite, I guess. With the energy piece was really nice. To be able to have both of those. And, because energy, I pick up on a lot of stuff anyway. And then the energy work piece was always effective. But then, a few years into doing that, I started noticing that the majority of people that were finding me as a coach were also highly sensitive or highly sensing, even if they weren't aware of it. After a while,
interesting
stuff and say, have you heard about this? And then it was like, oh my gosh, that's me, But then also I started hearing from people, it's like, I've had coaching and counseling before, and I only felt like I could get so far because I didn't feel like I was truly understood and accepted and validated. And so I realized that was really a niche that was not being fulfilled. And so that became really my focus, is working with other highly sensing folks, because of both of those things.
And do you find it easier to deal with when you go home at night than
yes,
versus the trauma
yes,
therapy?
And with all of my knowledge and understanding about it all, I thought, well, now I can probably manage things a little bit more. So I also do EFT tapping.
Okay.
And I thought, there's this program I could work with veterans doing tapping.
Oh, wow.
They would train me specifically in their program, and then I would just that would be one of my giving back things, X number of sessions per month, and I would just do that gratis and provide that service. And then as I'm going through the program, one day I woke up and go, what am I thinking? I can't do this. And I realized that if I were to, even if it's only a few sessions a month or something, if I were to be working with veterans and dealing with their trauma and hearing all these stories, I realized, no, I can't. And I love the fact that some people can do that are highly sensitive.
Yes.
And they can set those boundaries and whatever, but I recognize for myself, it's not going to work. So I had to back out of that and not be doing that, because it's just so impactful for me. And because again, that like thinking of not just what the person is saying and staying with them, but then my brain is like, oh, I can't imagine what that was like. And
exactly.
And going. So for me, not going to work.
Boy, that'd be really hard.
But yeah, so the clientele that I work with, I don't focus on trauma and, really intense things. I refer people to counseling for really getting in, the deep stuff. Yeah. But with the, like mindset tools and the EFT, the tapping, those kinds of things do allow me to work with people who have a background in that, but it's not something that we focus on other than, oh, this is probably connected to that. So we'll tie that in, but we're not going to like talk about it. So because of that, I think, yeah, I don't take stuff with me. And of course, I've learned a lot about energy and my own boundaries. And I do, have an energy practice every single day where I'm very clear that I, only allow in what's allowed and what's beneficial to me in my energetic field, and et cetera, et cetera. And I do that, every day to make sure that I'm not taking on others. Cause that's one thing that can really happen a lot easily with, highly sensing folks is taking on others, not only feelings, but energy. And sometimes we're not even aware of it. And then you just get overwhelmed and you're like, what is going on? And a lot of times it's not even yours. But it's easy to soak that up if you're not really aware and very intentional about it. So that's part of what I work with people on too, is, how to create that energetic, a bubble, if you will, but just that intention and that knowing and that awareness of making sure that you're not owning somebody else's stuff or just letting it, affect you to a place. It doesn't have to be as if it's theirs, but you're aware of it, you feel it. So being able to protect yourself that way is really important.
I think that's where time boundaries come in. Especially if you know a person is going to steal your energy, you have to kind of have a time boundary around it. Because I think I read some study that if you're around somebody more than half an hour with their negative energy, it can really affect your own brain.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I think, just it's one of the things that I think is the most important for managing in a non-highly sensitive world for us is calming our nervous system, because it's already kind of amped up higher than normal or average to start with, because that's the way we're wired. And then we take all, more in. So we don't have nearly as much bandwidth if we're not really, really boosting, our nervous system and taking care of ourselves. So as we start to, be around that energy, if we start, if the average person is here and we're like, I'm already this full,
right,
around that energy, I think maybe on average it's probably half hour, but I think for highly sensing folks, it doesn't take long at all to start feeling that on an energetic level. And, if you talk about everything being energy and frequency, and we want to be, raise our energy and our vibration as much as possible. And if we are around really dense negative energy or energy that doesn't support us, then we're more likely to be affected by that sooner and at a deeper level if we're not aware of that. So
is there a way you can be with other people and stay there in the situation without leaving?
It depends on the situation. I've been able to do both. At first, it takes that very conscious, like if I'm going to be, for example, this is last summer, but it came back to me recently and I was remembering it, went to a open house for healthcare, a new healthcare wellness center. And so the focus was, right on, that's resonated. But still, I knew there was going to be a lot of people there and everyone's talking and, getting to know each other. So all those energies, right? So being very conscious at the beginning to say, okay, here are my boundaries. There's going to be a lot of energy. I'm not choosing to take it in with me. And then, being prepared for, this is a high energy situation. And I expected all of the energies to be positive, right? But it's still a lot. So I did actually do pretty well for a while. And then I started to notice that I was feeling a little bit, I wouldn't say overwhelmed, but I was like, okay, I'm not able to, for me, it's like not able to focus on a conversation or who I'm listening to as well as deep, as like, suddenly I'm more aware of all these things around me and the other energies and the conversations or whatever. So after a point of time, I did just excuse myself and I walked outside and I touched a tree and I kind of hung it well. And interestingly, another woman came out at some point and she just sat down and took a big deep breath. And I just had a sense, and I said, are you highly sensitive? And she's like, oh yes.
So she didn't say, what's that?
Yeah, no. And she, same thing. We were like touching the grass and touching the trees. And and just breathing and looking at the sky and, just recharging, regrouping. And then after doing that, I was able to go back in for a while.
Oh, you
And,
okay.
because I'd kind of reset. I mean, not like from the very beginning, because there was, I hadn't spent that much time, but I probably stayed outside for about 10 minutes and then went back in and had, more conversations and connected with more people. And then I kind of felt that again. I said, okay, it's time. I can go now. And I was shocked that I had been there for like an hour and a half, almost an hour and 45 minutes. And for me, that was a lot because it was a lovely space and there were individual rooms, which helped go into like
Oh,
an
yeah.
room and have it, not like in the big space, but still there were probably 40 people there, in kind of a hub kind of, like here's the central area and then there's all these rooms around it with a big central space. And so, the free flowing energies and the just all of that, well, it was a lot for me. I mean, some people can manage that more, especially if they're extroverted for a period of time, they can manage that more. I'm definitely introverted. 30% of highly sensing folks are extroverted. So they tend to put themselves in those situations more and then crash, they're not paying attention and then they feel guilty sometimes because they're like, well, I put myself out there, but, I could only do it so long. And then, I was just done and I had to
Yeah.
recover for like 2 days or something. So I think
And you also think of like COVID and germs, right? Of people gathering. You said it was last summer. So I wonder if anybody, I mean, that made me nervous a year ago to go do anything in groups. So that's an added bonus.
Mhm. Yeah, I mean, and that's one
I-
thing to be aware of too. If you have any anxiety on any level, any concerns, worry, whatever about something before you go and do it, that's gonna, I mean, your nervous system is already charged, right? To be,
Yeah.
okay, I'm on guard. So then you're going to be able to take in even less.
Right. So tell me more about touching a tree and the grass.
Yeah. So on one, basic level, highly sensing folks tend to be very connected to nature. It just is what we like, beauty and nature and, harmony and, all of those things. And nature in particular, we tend to connect with a lot more. So just being out in nature in general tends to help us regroup and, calm ourselves down and just feel better. But also grounding, or like there's an organization that's done a lot of work on that and they call it earthing. And so some people use that term, but grounding literally physically with the earth is super powerful for everyone. But I think even that much more, again, for our more gentle, easily affected nervous systems. And so when we connect with physically with nature, take your feet off take your shoes off,
Take your feet off.
walk around barefoot, on the ground if you can. I mean, that's a little hard to do in the winter in places like where I live, but yeah, touch a tree or just touch your hands to the ground or, something outside the water but if it's okay weather, you can put your feet in the water or swim or whatever. And so when you're connected with the earth, you draw in negative ions. And normally, if we were, way, way back in the day, if we were hunters and gatherers, or if we were just, roaming around, spending a lot of time outside, and we either had, minimal shoes, but nothing synthetic, right? Like leather and stuff like that, or barefoot, but touching things and just being like immersed in nature, our polarity within our bodies would be balanced. But these days we hardly ever do that anymore. So we are more positively charged, which sounds kind of nice, but in
yes,
terms
it
of
does.
our body is it actually needs those negative ions to help us balance that. So our immune system is stronger and our nervous systems are more balanced. So anytime that we can ground by connecting with nature physically, that can really help us. And when we can't do that, one of the things I do every day while I'm working on the computer or, say I'm reading at night or something like that, if I haven't done it earlier in the day, I actually use a grounding band. I just I usually put it around my ankle so I can type. But there are several different kinds of accessories, if you will, that you can use to ground yourself. And all it is something that has some kind of a metal fiber or a metal, the band has a little plate that's metal. And then so whatever that is connected just to a wire that connects to the ground plug in your outlet in your house. So there's no electricity coming through. There's no EMFs and that kind of stuff. It's just connected to the ground wire, and that goes straight through the grounding rod into the earth. So you get to be grounded while you're doing whatever you're doing on a daily basis. They make sheets, which I did have, but it didn't really last that long.
Sheets?
Any fun? Pardon?
Sheets?
Yeah, they call them. Well, you can get a full sheet or a half sheet or whatever, and you can put them on your bed and lay on them.
Wait a minute. A full sheet or a half sheet? How do you put a half sheet on your bed? Like the sheets that go under your blanket?
You put it over the top of your lower sheet, your fitted sheet, just put it across and tuck it under, and then you'd lay on it. And so I did that for a while. So it was great. I didn't have to ever do anything. I just go to sleep. But after a while, because it's really fine metal white threads that are going through there, so you don't feel them. But after a while, I think you're supposed to be able to wash them, and I was very careful and that kind of stuff. But eventually, it just stopped working. And that's definitely the more expensive way to do it, but it was great for a while. But the band is nice. You can take it anywhere. You can put it anywhere you want, really. I mean, you can get bigger ones too. You can put it around your thigh if you wanted to, or something like that. But it's really convenient to just put it around my ankle and be able to type. You can put it around your wrist, but it kind of gets in the way for me for the keyboard, I think. But
that sounds kind of like healing stones.
Yeah, I mean, anything
that probably doesn't have a healing stone in it, but it sounds like some of the stones are supposed to ground you.
It's specifically and that would be based on frequency. So the stones have a certain frequency that resonate at a certain level that help you to probably connect, depending on which ones they are, connect with the frequency of the earth, so that you're synergistic with the earth. So ideas, but
so if I'm having anxiety or something, I'm in my house. If I go outside and there's a tree, would I just touch it? Like, do you hold on to it for like 5 minutes, or do you just tap it and go back inside? I mean,
the longer you can do it, the better, of course.
So neighbors they're gonna go, what is she doing?
She's a tree hugger.
Oh, is that where that term came from? Tree hugger.
A lot of the sensitives were probably doing the, save the trees.
Wow, I really like this idea. I am going to try this. I'm going to go outside. I'm going to touch a tree. So how long do you have to touch the tree for it to have benefits?
For really long lasting effects, I think it's going to be more than just like touch and go. But just by doing that, well, you get, there's two things. Trees. I love trees. Trees have kind of like pheromones. Not the kind that we're used to, like with animals and people, but they put chemicals that react with our bodies in the same way that pheromones do. So the reason that some people are really connected with trees is because we soak up those chemicals, or those, I don't know if chemical is the right word. I mean, it is, but like those pheromones, or those, those currents through the air that come off the tree. So even just standing near a tree, you're soaking up those little chemicals that are like endorphins, or like oxytocin or whatever. You're just like happy chemicals, and they actually affect our brains.
Oh, when I go on hikes now, I'm going to be touching a lot of trees.
And even just
who ever thought we'd be talking so much about trees today?
Yeah, I know. But even, like going by, and just having a little mini conversation with one or whatever, or just, putting your intention there that I am connecting with this tree, and I'm soaking up these chemicals, even if you're just walking by, and maybe you just have a glancing touch or something, it's fine. But I mean, usually you can just feel that connection, and just breathe deeper, and just, feel so much more centered and relaxed and whatever. So, I'm
going to do a video on this. I'm going to go into the forest, and I'm going to touch a tree, and I'm going to talk to the tree. And if you're talking to the tree, what are you saying? I can feel you.
Whatever resonates with you. I think everything has energy, everything has, spirit, everything is alive. And so I like to say something that's honoring, and like look at you, beautiful thing. You are so enduring. And thank you for, being here and sharing your energy, or, I mean, I do things like that. And again, just like, yeah, touching them. And I'm always amazed. Like I have a lot of ponderosa trees around here, and they have the little puzzle piece bark around them. And, they endure everything. It is funny that we're talking so much about trees, but I love
know. So good.
They're so enduring. And yet, and I don't know how much this happens with other types of trees. I'm trying to think of what else might be similar, because even lodgepoles don't do this, but they have these little puzzle pieces, and you can go up and touch one just so gently, and it can fall off. And then you think, the wind blows, they have stuff, fly all around. And I mean, they do lose their little pieces eventually, and they build up on the ground, but something so enduring and yet so fragile, it's just amazing to me that, you just touch, like, so I will always do that. And then invariably, even as careful as I am, one of them is going to dislodge and, fall down. So then I'll apologize, but
and then you apologize to the tree.
Thank you so much. And
I'm
yeah.
so sorry.
And actually in Japan, forest bathing is a huge thing. I mean, people will take breaks from work. They have these big parks with, giant ancient trees and stuff. And they have like walking paths where you just go and immerse yourself in the trees. Not that everyone's touching them, but maybe, I don't know, not there. But that's a very, very specific practice that is recognized across the board as a health benefit and a wellness practice to go forest bathing.
Forest bathing. Now that sounds like you're going
around on the trees.
Right. Or you're gonna go like get into a bathing suit and go into the forest at lunch.
It's basically just immersing yourself, in that energy and in that space. And they just recognize that how impactful that is.
What about like Arizona, like Sedona? They have
I wouldn't want to do that with the cactus, I would imagine.
No, I mean, like they have that energy. I forgot what it's called. What is that called? People say they feel more energy when they go to this one place.
Oh, in certain energies, they have vortexes.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, and I think that, boy, we're just going all different.
That's okay. It's interesting.
So yeah. I think that has to do a lot with what they call ley lines. LEI, I believe, ley lines so they're like, you can get it like an overall grid across the whole planet. If you just, search that ley lines in the world or whatever, there are energy lines in different places that converge across the planet where the energy intensifies. And so like a lot of the ancient, if you look at ancient civilizations with, like Stonehenge and places like that, where they have all these really, important monuments or, like whole things like Stonehenge, they'll tend to be in places where they converge, or that there's just a really, really extra strong energy in the earth. So the vortexes tend to be those types of areas where those ley lines are either crossing, or there's one that's really, thicker, or just stronger. So yeah.
That's interesting. I mean, it kind of sounds like with the tree thing. Like when you go there, you get kind of the same benefit. I've heard that when you go there, you can feel the energy and it does something to your body in a good way.
Yes.
So anyway, that's interesting. We talked about trees and vortexes. Can you talk about maybe some tools that people can use if they're highly sensing and they go out in public? And can you talk about that?
So I would say first, no matter what it is you're trying to deal with, having an ongoing daily practice of something that helps you to, again, calm your nervous system. I mean, you can have these tools to use, in the moment, but having something every single day that's, consistent really helps to lower that threshold for your, well, I guess it's raising the threshold, but lower the impact on your nervous system and strengthen that nervous system so it's not as affected.
Right.
Having something ongoing helps you kind of have that lower reset point so that overall everything is less, impactful for you. So having that as a practice is really, really important. And I can talk about, what those might look like. But as you're getting ready to go out into the world, again, being prepared and having a way out. So like you asked me about, what can you go there and not leave? Sometimes not. And it depends on, I mean, I went to some kind of, to hear a concert at a local, not really a pub, but it's an area that, they have multiple rooms and it's a really neat place to hang out. But of course, it's a lot of energy. And, sometimes even if you're expecting it and prepared, it can just be too much. So sometimes it's just like, this isn't going to work for me tonight. I'm going to have to go to a different room or just go do something else, or maybe go to a restaurant and it's super chaotic and noisy. And you're just like, yeah, this isn't going to work. Can we find a different place or a different room or something like that? So sometimes it's just honoring that some things aren't going to work.
Yeah. And I guess I should have asked you before this. People have like sensitive to smell, sight, sound. Can you talk about that? I should have asked that before this, but
yeah, and it's not straight across the board. I mean, people can be super high on, sensitivity in general and say, yeah, I'm, I've scored this high on this inventory or whatever, and have certain things that just aren't really a problem for them. Whereas someone else is just like, are really, like I have a friend I hike with, I use this story all the time because it's so pertinent, but she's really super highly sensing, but sound is not a problem for her. So we'll go hiking and she's got this huge key ring or, set of, I don't know, it's huge and it just jingles like crazy. So it'll be like on the back of her backpack and we'll start walking and it'll be like, and I'm like, no, wait, can inside the pack. And she'll say, oh yeah, sorry, didn't even realize. And then, puts it in. She doesn't have a problem with it. I mean, she's highly sensitive, she gets it. But for her, sound, not really that much of a problem. Energy is really huge for her. For me, it's pretty much across the board, all of those things, all of the senses, smell, taste. I mean, I can't do anything spicy.
me too.
Love flavor.
Me
but
too.
Not hot spicy.
Yep, I get it.
And textures, in my mouth.
So
so that's very specific.
Like what? What's a bad texture for you in your mouth?
Okay, try not to make a funny face. Something that's really slimy, like a okra that's not cooked enough.
That's icky anyway.
Yeah, I love okra if it's cooked enough. It has to be like dried out, sort of, because it
has to be unrecognizable.
It does, like it cooks way down to a little tiny thing, and then it's got great flavor. But so yeah, stuff that's really gooey or like when I was younger, I couldn't stand the texture of mushrooms.
Oh yeah, I think that's common.
And I love mushrooms now, but I had to actually train myself. That was a process.
I think I was the same when I was young. I didn't like it. I know my dad did not like the texture of mushrooms, but I started liking them. Now I eat them every single day.
Yeah, they're awesome. And like, so physically, like I can't have any tags in my clothing or rough spots or whatever. If I get one hair on my face, I'm like, hold on.
Oh yeah.
Okay. And then, I can't pay attention. If I got like one that comes across, it's like, so, it can be physical stuff. It can definitely be sense, like going through, if you go to a commercial grocery of some kind where they have like a huge aisle of all of the fabric stuff, fabric softeners and
oh yeah, I can't walk through that aisle.
All that stuff.
Yeah.
I rarely go there, but like it's like take a deep breath, pull up my shirt, walk super fast to go get whatever it is, and then leave because it's just so intense. So yeah, and there's some people that maybe everything else isn't really that intense, but they have particularly hard time with environmental sensitivities. So yeah, it can be any and all of those things. And again, it can be super extreme for some and not for others, but they can have other things that are more extreme for them.
Yeah, so mine is smell. Oh my gosh. But what's good is I can smell, I think we talked about this before. I can smell if something's on fire. Yeah. If I know that there's a forest fire somewhere within miles of I don't even know how many miles, far away. And I can tell you that there's a forest fire out there. Yeah. My husband looks at me like I'm crazy. Yeah. But it's always
someone just has like a burn pile or something. You step outside.
Oh yeah.
Oh, okay, what is that? And then I have to like go check it out and like pile. It's all right. Nothing bad. Yeah, exactly. And I might have said this when we had chatted before, but I mean, I believe that I kept my house from burning down once because
Yes.
I woke up out of a dead sleep smelling, something burning, whatever.
Yeah.
And once I actually woke up completely, I had to go around on my hands and knees to even find where it was. It was so subtle, but it woke me up, and it was my baseboard. All the wiring was, I shut off the circuit and went back to bed. And then in the morning, I checked it all out, and it was just like this mass of like all the wires and the coating. It was just this ball of stuff, and I'm like, oh, wow.
You saved your own life.
So,
And this is when you talk about your, I'm not sure, but this is when you say that your sensitivities are your superpowers
mhm.
because you saved your life.
Yeah, that's one of them. And
Yeah.
the other thing, like if you say, well, what's the best thing about being highly sensing? To me, it's that sensing the subtle piece and the connection with nature and beauty. Like you can, I see it as living in grayscale or Technicolor. And I'm in the Technicolor place. Like everything is so amazing, and I can enjoy like a little ladybug on a leaf when I'm going on a hike that other people aren't even going to notice. But I'm just like, oh, look at that, and just like everything is so amazing. And one just side benefit too with that is that they've done research. If people that experience awe and wonder more have better immune systems, stronger immune systems.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay. I know I have a very strong immune system. Maybe that's why.
maybe. Yeah. So I appreciate that piece of just noticing some. I mean, and it can be hard. It can be challenging sometimes because you're noticing
Oh,
everything, but so many
yes.
things are amazing. So if you can pay attention to all of that stuff that really feeds you and that is so amazing that other people are like, the what? What did you? I didn't even see. What are you talking about?
Yeah.
Like, oh, it was amazing. Or like we had the full eclipse here, a few years ago, and we were like almost dead center where everyone was coming just outside of where I live. And I have a friend who went there with he's highly sensing with his highly sensing son. And he said it was interesting because they, at that moment, they're going through the whole thing. And so like I talk about it and I get the chills, but he said that it was really interesting. They were just, in this moment, and their, tears were just coursing down their faces. And other people were coming up later and go, you okay? You all right? And they're like, oh, it's just amazing. They're like, well, yeah, it's cool, but you know, and they just people can understand why they were reacting. They thought something was wrong or whatever, but it was just so powerful for both of them. So I appreciate that kind of stuff to just be moved. And again, it can be challenging, but when you can be moved in such an amazing way, or you hear a story about people, something about humanity, people being amazing to other people or animals or the planet or whatever, and you just are so moved. I appreciate that part instead of, it seems like it would be a lot less I don't know, in some ways less joyful, less impactful. You just wouldn't notice things as much. It'd be kind of like just kind of going along on
Yeah.
an even keel. And we're kind of like this, I guess. So the low points are the like, this stuff is driving me crazy. That's always hard, but that other stuff is so amazing. Like being on the top of a mountain and looking at everything from bird's eye view is just like, that could bring tears. I mean,
Oh, totally. Yeah.
that's one of my favorite things about it.
Yeah.
Yeah, but
So,
it's also good, in terms of being a benefit or superpower. We do have that compassion and the empathy, and we can see things from all sides, and we do all these things that others don't, and recognize things. And so we have a lot to offer the world, and we can help in a business situation or in our families or whatever by protecting, by being the ones that smell the smoke or know that
mhm.
something's wrong or needs to be fixed before it becomes like a really big problem. That's a real benefit. And knowing what others need before they have to say anything, or those kinds of things are different benefits. And I think that's having your superpower, noticing things, acting on things, being aware. Those are, yeah, really strong.
Do you think HSPs have better intuition than other
Mhm.
people?
Yes, we don't always listen to it though.
I
So
know. I know sometimes I don't listen to mine because I'm
yeah.
like, is this intuition or is this just a crazy thought? It's hard to tell. And
And then we
sometimes
get
I
other
think, oh,
people
I should have
saying,
listened.
other people saying, "Oh, you're crazy," or "What are you talking about? That can't be," or whatever. Then you start to like, oh, okay, well, yeah, any discount and maybe feel weird or things like that. Or we do have a higher tendency to second guess or discount ourselves anyway because we want to make sure everyone else is okay with us
Right.
and get
Right.
happy and whatever. So it does take practice to not only hone that intuition but to actually listen to it. So I like to say, if you're not sure, is this just a crazy idea or this is real, this is real, or if you're trying to make a decision and you're leaning toward one, but you're like, yeah, but everyone else would say, whatever. Just taking that time to be really quiet, go inside and say, okay, how do I resonate? How do I feel with these scenarios? So you say, if it's a decision, you say, okay, how do I feel? What's my sense if I think about doing this? And your body will react if you're in tune and you're paying attention and you're practicing that and listening, it'll get better and better. And
How
then
does your body react? Explain that.
well, it's different for everyone. It could be like for me, when something really resonates, I get tingly, and
Oh,
it's like, oh, I kind of get the chills.
okay.
When I hit something that's right on, I'm like, oh, okay, I know that because I just got the chills. Um, Sometimes it's if it's a denser, like, okay, I'm thinking about doing this, and your body's like, no, no, no. It might be like suddenly your whole body's really tense or tight or drawn in.
Okay.
Maybe you get like a stone in your gut, or your jaw tenses up or something like that. You could have a reaction to the this isn't okay kind of thing. Like, oh, I'm thinking about doing this, but I'm not sure if I should do it. And you sit with it, and as soon as you think about doing it, is something a reaction like that happens that's negative or that's doesn't feel
Yes.
good, then you're going, okay, I'm gonna listen to that, even if it doesn't make sense up here, or someone else,
Right.
oh, it's gonna be great. What are you talking about? What's the problem? Well, I just have this sense, and we don't have words for it most of the time, and we can't prove it. We can't, unless you don't listen, and then you go do something anyway, and then something happens, and you're like, oh, there's my proof.
That's
So we
happened to
don't,
me many times.
right, and we don't like, it'd be better to not have that result, right? So, but that means trusting and just knowing it's not going to make sense to anybody. It might not even make sense to me, but I think I need to not go do that. It's sort of like slowing down when you're driving. You get the sense like, I need to slow down.
Yeah.
And then nothing happens on your way home. You're like, well, why did I need to do that? Well, who knows? Because you probably diverted or averted something, but
Right.
it happened. So you can't, there's no proof, right? So being able to just practice that and listen, and either saying, oh, when I think about this, I get all warm and tingly, or I get super, relaxed or relieved or whatever. Or I think about this and, you have that some kind of a visceral response in your body. And then, eventually too, you can just have just that knowing, that just that sense like, I don't know why, but this isn't going to be good for me. And
Yeah.
you get, you practice listening to that. So hopefully not too many times you have to go through the, oh, I'm going to do it anyway, and then have something happen. And you're like, I knew that, but I didn't listen. So yes, we are more in tune that way, but it does sometimes, take a lot of practice at listening and following through with that intuition. It's like doing your check-ins every day. It's really, really good for us to periodically throughout the day check in. And I've shared this in different places. I don't know if I mentioned it with you, but if you do it when you go to the bathroom, there's someone out there that suggested doing that. I'm like, oh, that's a good idea. Instead of just randomly trying to remember to do that throughout the day, if you do it when you go to the bathroom, you do that multiple times a day, right? So if you just do a check-in, how am I doing? What do I need? Or how am I feeling? What do I need? And then honoring what that is. First you have that awareness. Oh, how am I doing right now? And maybe you're like, wow, I'm really feeling pretty tense. So what do I need? I need to do some deep breathing, or I need to go touch a tree, or I need a couple more breaks this afternoon to make sure that I don't get overloaded or, whatever it is. And then and honoring that. So it's kind of that same idea. It's like, okay, so I check in with my body and it says, this isn't good. Don't do this. And then I do it anyway. That's not honoring that sense, that intuitive place or that hit that, it might not make sense up here or to anyone else, but I just have that sense that this isn't going to resonate for me.
Yeah. So you do check-ins multi times a day. That's one of the things that's one of the tools.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. And then practicing honoring that, because you might say, oh, okay, I'm checking in and I'm feeling really stressed. I've got a really busy day. And if you tell yourself I can't do anything, I'll have to wait till the end of the day. Well, then you're going to hit that overload. But if you say, okay, can I make myself take 30 seconds to do some deep breathing? Yeah, I can probably do that.
You kind of have to make a habit out of it, right?
Yeah.
And that's good. Going to the bathroom, we do that multi times a day.
Exactly. And it's also a good place if you are like in a work environment, you're not, a lot of people work from home now, but even if you have other people at home and you don't want to do certain things or you need that time away, but if you're in a public place and you really need some deep breathing, or maybe you want to do a little tapping routine or you want to do a quick meditation or whatever it is that works for you that helps you really calm down quickly and kind of reset, but you don't want people looking at you or it's too noisy and you can't do that, that's always there. You can always use a bathroom.
You just have to not stress about finding a bathroom.
Oh, well,
like there's no bathroom. Oh no, what am I going to do?
Hopefully you always have access to that, but finding a quiet place somewhere that you're not going to be distracted or that, people aren't going to be watching you or whatever, unless you are in a place that it's okay that you're, sitting at your desk, whatever, to just close your eyes for 30 seconds. If you think the environment will be conducive to that, then it's great modeling for people too. And people will be like, oh, what's she doing? And maybe someone will ask like, oh, I just had to kind of reset, take some, deep breaths because I was starting to feel a little agitated or whatever. And then that person goes, oh, that seems like a really good idea.
I love that. You can inspire people while you're doing this.
You can kind of be a mentor just by showing what you're doing, showing what works. So
I love that. So can you talk more about boundary setting?
Boundaries.
It's my favorite subject, So
yeah.
But in this case, you really need your boundaries. And
Yes.
I've learned a lot of them. So I'm pretty good now. But before I didn't really have many. I didn't even know what they were. But now I'm very prepared when I go out. I think I told you before, I bring my sunglasses everywhere because the brightness hurts my eyes. And I bring my inhaler. I never even use it, but it's like good insurance to have it.
Sure.
And I bring other things with me. I have to prepare, and I have to bring water. I just have all this, a snack, always a snack.
Often we can get really hangry, grumpy, if we're too hungry.
Yeah, I'm never without my snacks.
Yeah.
I gotta have my snacks. I gotta have water, at least in the car. I have to bring, even if I don't, most of the time I don't even drink it, but it's there if I need it. Okay. So those are the kind of planning in advance boundaries that I use. But what are some others?
So if you're looking at scheduling, that's a big thing for us because we are doers and tend toward perfectionism and, I can do this, so I should kind of idea. So we can get overbooked and agree to too many things. And then once we've gotten to there, we're like, well, I committed to this, so I have to do it. And then you do it and then you crash, right? So being aware in terms of like scheduling and your bandwidth, being aware how you're feeling that day for one thing, because we're different every day, like how much bandwidth do I have today? Where's my energy level? So knowing going forward, if something comes up, you can opt out of something extra. If you're like, I don't really have a lot of extra energy today, I don't think. So if something, comes on the table, I might have to say, let's do that tomorrow, or, push it off sometime, say no, whatever, even if it's something that would be fun. Sometimes we have to do that. Like someone calls this really crazy busy day and someone says, hey, let's go to dinner. And you're thinking, oh, that would be great. Because it's such a big day.
And then you commit to it. And then when it gets to the time, you're like, oh, don't want to go.
And then you
I've done
realize
that
and
so
that's
much.
be like just going to that person's house and it's just you one-on-one and there's no expectations and you can just relax. Maybe that works.
Yes.
But being in a restaurant or at an event, you can get to that point and go, oh, this is over the edge. But yeah, I committed, so I'm going to feel guilty if I say no. And so being really aware of that before you commit to things.
Yes.
Also, honoring that place of I am overwhelmed. I need to back out now, and just explaining I really wanted to do this, and wow, I'm maxed out, and I want to be totally present when when I'm doing this with you. Can we do it on a different day, or something like that?
Yeah.
Thing that's really important is factoring in, and this has to be until it becomes a habit, scheduled into your physical, online, paper, whatever schedule, breaks. You have to have breaks.
Yes.
Like 5 or 10 minutes every hour, maybe a half hour in the morning, half hour in the afternoon, certain times that are scheduled in to make yourself do these things. You can have your check-in, you can go remove yourself, go to the bathroom, spend a little extra time in there, or go find another quiet place, whatever, walk around the building, go out, touch a tree, do something to regroup and calm yourself during those breaks. But you have to have those breaks, because if you just go nonstop all day long, you're more likely than average to just hit that wall and crash. So a lot of it is, those physical scheduling boundaries are really important. And then it's, again, like listening to that intuition can help you with this, but saying no, no is a complete sentence.
Yes,
So,
I agree.
being able to say no, even if somebody is really, really wanting you to do something, that is a really important boundary to say, and you can say, I'd really like to help, or that sounds really great. My energy's just not there. I'm going to have to say no. You don't have to do all of that. You can just say, I'm going to have to opt out. No, thank
Or
you.
I say, thank you so much for inviting me, but I just can't do it. But have a great time and send me pictures.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, you can be
Like,
kind when you say no. You don't have to explain anything.
exactly.
Just say no, and that's
Yep.
it. Or you can just say thank
And
you. You can thank them,
releasing their reaction. So it's not our job to make everyone happy.
No.
So someone might be disappointed if you say no, but you're not in charge of their feelings, and you don't have to make them happy, and you can't, but it's not your job. So it's your job to honor yourself and keep you centered and happy and in the right energy and all of those things. That's on you, but their stuff is on them. So even if it's disappointing for them, it's not your fault, and it's not your responsibility to make them happy. So just being like, well, okay, well, I'll do it this time because I don't want them to be upset. But then that's not honoring yourself.
Right.
So having those boundaries, definitely to say, sounds really nice, or not, or maybe you just say, that doesn't resonate with me at all. And you don't have to
I know
say
somebody asked me to go, what was it?
no, thanks.
She wanted me to go zip lining.
Oh,
And I'm like, you've got to be kidding. No. And then we both started laughing, but it's like, oh my God, it was hilarious. But sometimes you can say, if you're with somebody you really know that, is funny, you can just say, yeah, right. I don't think so.
Yeah.
But yeah, not me.
Yeah, but making sure to honor that and not go do it just because that person's really, really excited about it and really wanting you to do it. And you say, nope, that's not for me.
Yeah.
Which is another whole topic. We'll have to do another hour on it, but there's a subset of highly sensitive people that are high sensation seeking sensitives.
Oh,
so
okay. What's that?
I love the idea of ziplining.
Oh,
Done. But
okay.
if I'm going to go do that, I would have to be aware of where my energy level's at, what my expectations are. If I am uncomfortable, being able to say, I'm going to skip this one or whatever. But those of us who have that piece of the trait tend to like lots of really new experiences, maybe something that gets your energy going that's really unusual, or learning something that's like, totally out of the box or something like that, because and it's not the same thing as being extroverted at all, because I'm definitely an extrovert, but I love those kinds of experiences, and I love zip lining. I've done it many times. And that's that, I think, part of me that is that like high sensation seeking. It's not to the point where I exhaust myself and constantly go, go, go. But I am fed by that. And I wouldn't say I ever really get bored because I do have so many opportunities, to engage my brain or my interests. But if I didn't do anything like that, I think that stuff just feeds my energy.
Yeah.
So exciting and fun for me. But yeah, if it's not your thing, then saying yes is going to, I mean, you'd be stressed going into it. Your bandwidth is already, you're going to just crash big time. So yeah, honoring those kinds of boundaries where you are saying, this might be great for somebody else, but it is not for me.
Yeah. Say yes to things that you want to do, not just to make someone else happy. And now I know you're never going to ask me to go zip lining with you.
No, I would not do that. And I would say, like, I'm going to go be doing this. Let me know if you ever want to try, or I mean, I might not just disclude you, because, but I'm not going to be like, hey, I'm going to go do this. Join me. And if you don't, I'm going to be really frustrated,
And mad at you.
Yeah, exactly. Like, don't disappoint me here. I want you to come along. That's not going to happen.
I think, I like a lot of new experiences, but it's getting to the place that's hard for me. Going like the traveling and that part of it. I don't like that part of it, like the physical, like, getting on a plane. Everybody knows me knows I don't like to fly, but packing and then getting to the airport and then getting on the plane. And that whole thing is so stressful that I don't want to go places. But once I'm there, it's fantastic. I love all the new experiences. But just going from here to there, that's the part that I just, it's so stressful that I end up not doing a lot of things.
And it can be really, really draining, all of that stuff.
It is.
So in terms of preparation, one of the things that tends to be good for some of us is, if you are planning something, get your stuff ready way in advance.
Yeah, I do that.
A little bit at a time.
Yeah.
Don't wait till the night before to do all your cooking and all of your, like, making sure that we're planners generally.
Yes.
But don't
really, are HSPs planners normally?
Yeah. Generally.
I didn't know that, because I'm such a
we don't
planner.
like surprises usually. I mean, even sometimes like a surprise party can throw people a lot.
Oh yeah.
So because it's a jolt to your nervous system. I mean, even if it's a positive thing, surprises are like, wait, I wasn't prepared for that, and your nervous system goes,
Right.
So if you're already amped up, that can be too much. So yeah, we tend to be planners. We tend to be not necessarily organized. I mean, some of us are. I'm quite organized, but
Me too.
But if we're aware of that, we can be more organized so that we don't end up, in a situation where, like, oh, I can't manage this. I have to go tomorrow, and I don't know how I'm getting to the airport yet. I don't know, what my ride situation is once I get there from the airport. Or, I mean, like, if you wait till the last minute for all that kind of stuff, it's going to be really stressful, most likely. So, spending some time the week before, if it's a big trip, but planning out stuff, far in advance. And some people are like, oh, just fly with it, just get there and see what happens. And for a lot of us,
no, that would be terrible.
I mean, there are some things that, can be like, well, once I get there and say, okay, I want to have half my day. And this is a good thing to do too. Have half your day scheduled. And this is something, if if you have downtime, this is not work related, but have half your day scheduled and then half your day unscheduled.
Yeah.
And then be able to fill in the blank, right?
Yeah.
And that is when you find out how much energy you have after you've done the stuff that you've scheduled.
Right.
And you say, okay, where am I at? How am I doing? Do I need anything okay, maybe I'm going to take a nap, and then I would like to go find a restaurant and go have a nice dinner, or I would like to do one of these, events or activities that's on the brochure or whatever. But committing to, it's like, okay, I'm on vacation, or I'm going to this new place, and so I got to take everything in, and I've got to do as much as I can and not waste any time. And then you schedule yourself completely full,
I used to do that on vacations. I would have everything on a schedule. I thought, oh my, this is so stressful. So now when we go places, I really don't have anything. I want to be spontaneous. It
Mhm.
just feels better than having to commit to all these different things.
Yeah.
But I never thought about that as being maybe an HSP thing, just maybe just wanting to be spontaneous and not be committed.
Yeah. And it's definitely a personality thing, but it can
Yeah.
also definitely be part of that. Um, just that not having surprises. Like it's different to say, I'm going to go, I'm going to get there, and then wake up and say, what do I feel like doing today? That's great. But going there if you don't have a hotel booked
Oh, well,
and thinking,
no,
I'm
I
just
would
going to
do
get there
that.
and
I would book the
what I
hotel.
find, probably not a great idea unless you just, that's your personality and you've done that before and you're like, oh no, I thrive on that. Great. But for most of us, probably having that little bit of security so that we don't have that. I mean, that makes your adrenaline start going, right? It's like, oh, I need a place to sleep tonight. Okay,
Yeah.
what's available? Oh, that's not. Okay, I'll keep going. Some people are, they're like, oh, we'll find something. It'll all work.
And it used to be where you could go someplace and go, well, I'll just find a rental car when I get there. Now, not so much. Now
No.
it's hard to even get them. So you have to plan that too. I think we were in Hawaii once and I said, "Oh, I think we should go get a rental car." And we did, but I think it was really hard to get. And I thought we should have planned this in advance. I don't know why we would have waited with that.
Yeah.
Maybe I heard that you get a better deal if you wait till you get there. I don't know. It was so long ago, but
Mhm.
anyway, so how can non-HSPs support their HSP friends and relatives?
That's a good question. So a lot of it is recognizing that this is not a choice. This is the way we're wired. And so it's not a conscious choice to be difficult, to be irrational. It's a different way of experiencing life, a different view of life. And so just honoring that, oh, I experience life this way, and then asking, what is this like for you? I think that's really impactful and powerful to say, okay, I can't go there. I don't know what this is like for you. Tell me what the situation is like for you, or what do you think about this? Or, so not making assumptions, asking, and then being able to acknowledge that, okay, we're just different. So if you have a relationship with someone, then you can, get used to that idea that, oh, okay, I don't want to spring things on this person. I need to say things in advance and ask what, how they feel about it, rather than just saying, hey, I'm going to do this and I want you to, I want to go ziplining and I expect you to go with me. But being saying, hey, I'm thinking about, this or this, what do you think? And then allowing for whatever that response is. And then another one is allowing people time to process and make a decision. Because sometimes people are like, oh, I want to do this. What do you think? Well, they've been thinking, I mean, this is for everyone, not just, for HSPs, but if you've been thinking about something, it's top of mind, and then you spring it on someone, they haven't been thinking about it, so they're gonna have to
Right.
think about it. Some people are really quick, be like, oh, yeah, that sounds fine. Okay, let's do that. But we tend to want longer to process. Like, oh, well, let me think about that. What would that be like? And then we have all the what ifs, and then we have the, yeah, how does that feel? And we can spend that time going in and say, does this resonate with me? So allowing that processing time and not expecting immediate responses.
What about, like, I was thinking about this. What about conversations? Like you're having a conversation with someone and you're asking them questions and they can't come up with an answer at that moment. Have you ever experienced that? I have that with people ask me questions on the spot.
Yeah.
I need time to think about an answer. Is
Right.
That's an HSP thing too, right?
Yes,
Sometimes.
it definitely can be. Yeah, and the best response to that is like, oh, I really like that option, or that's a really important question, or whatever. I need to spend some time thinking about that, so I have a really good response. I don't want to give just a knee-jerk response, so I'll have to get back with you.
Yeah.
And just honor that within yourself and make that okay, and then help the other person see that, I don't want to say something, I'm going to retract later, or this not really not going to be the right thing. So I just need some time to think about it, to
The
process it.
process. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
And just, I mean, again, if you're in relationship with someone, you can have that as a practice of, remember, I need some extra time to process things sometimes. And you can get used to that and build that practice. If it's someone that you don't know very well, or just random, like, hey, I'm doing this, and you just met someone, like, let's go do this, and you're like, whoa, okay, hold on, I need to process this, because I consider all kinds of different avenues and aspects, and I can't give you an answer right now, but I'll think about it and get back to you.
What if they say, how long will it take?
And you said, it's a good question. I really don't know. It depends on how
Yeah.
much time I have to think about it, and
Yeah.
I will get back to you, because sometimes it's days, right? Sometimes it's like 3 days later. And maybe it's not like for a, well, sometimes it can be, but not necessarily for an answer, but for a response to something. Maybe you're having a discussion, and maybe, like, 2 days later or something, you go, oh, that thing we talked about. Yeah, I want to say something. And so you go back to them and say, remember what we were talking about? And then you give this big response or whatever. They're going, what? That was days ago. Why are you still thinking about that? And we're just like, well, I've been processing it all this
Yes,
time,
it took me
thinking
a
about
long
all the
time.
different, potentials, and that's what I came up with. So just thought I'd share, and just know
Yeah.
that they're not going to be on that same page. They've already moved on
Right.
a long time ago, probably 15 minutes after you were talking. But yeah, sometimes we don't. And so, but before trying to help other people with that, we have to be okay with that ourselves. So honoring that that's just our process sometimes.
Are there any groups that people could join online of
Yeah, I have a
like-minded?
meetup group.
Okay.
So people can look for that. Central Oregon, highly sensitives, I think. What
Is
is
that
it
the
called?
name of your,
Something like that.
is that the name you think your group is?
I think that's the name. I never look at the name. Uh, yeah, and it says Central Oregon, but that's how that's mine. But people are. I mean, it's because of COVID, it became like anyone from anywhere, and it's mostly virtual. So, but yeah, I mean, people search online for groups and stuff. I don't know of any in particular that are better than others, or that I really refer people to. But
And what do you do in your group?
we just kind of share experiences and topics that are common, and I sometimes take people through an exercise on whether it's deep breathing or visualization or something, or pick something like, what's it like to travel as an HSP, and just kind of share that kind of stuff, and people just get to know each other, and it's just like, I just led a retreat on Saturday, and one of the nice things about, and that was the first in-person thing since COVID. It was amazing.
Oh, how awesome.
But when you're in a room, whether it's virtual or physical, which is awesome, definitely, but of the same, like-minded people, or like experiences. So if you're with all highly sensing people, they get it. And so you don't spend any time trying to explain yourself, or like, are they going to get this? Or, you can just speak freely, and people are going to understand because they're on the same page. So that is really valuable.
That's pretty cool. Is your meetup for just Oregonians, or is it for anybody who
For
finds you?
anybody. I have people all over the country, all over the world that join.
Oh, that's fantastic.
Yeah.
What about other resources? Are there any books or podcasts that you can recommend?
Yeah, there's some stuff on, so Linktree is where I have all of my stuff. So I have my own blog posts. There's the Highly Sensitive Refuge. I would really highly recommend, because it's just blog post after blog post on all different topics.
Okay, that's a blog.
It's a website,
It's a website. Okay.
blog based website. Yeah,
Okay.
Highly Sensitive Refuge. And actually the one that started that, and one of her cohorts, just recently wrote the most recently released book on sensitivity, just called Sensitive, and I haven't read it yet.
Oh,
It's out
okay.
there. And then Elaine Aron has multiple books. The Highly Sensitive Person is the first one I always recommend to everyone. That was her first one. It has the research. It's very readable, though. The background helps you understand it, and then what to do with it. And that's
Okay.
really fascinating. And there's a variety of, there's the Highly Sensitive Man, I believe, .com. Someone that I know has a website. He has a blog and a newsletter, and then he also has a men's group, which is nice for those those guys to connect with. But yeah, there's quite a few resources out there now.
That's good.
Yeah, that are helpful. So
Okay, so tell us again where exactly we can find you.
if you're familiar with Linktree, just find me at my name, Tammy Goen, as it's on the screen there.
So
Linktree.
linktree.com
So it's
slash
linktr.ee.
Okay, I'm glad you
And
said that.
slash,
Okay.
and then whoever it is that's on there. So then slash Tammy Goen.
Okay.
Yeah. So
All right.
Linktree, Tammy Goen. And then it's got all of my links and references. And, I have an inventory on my website, on my homepage. If you're not sure if you're highly sensing, you can take the inventory. I have ebooks, free ebooks on there. The link to my Facebook page, but also my or Facebook group, but also my meetup group. The link is on there for that as well.
Oh, great.
So everything's like a one-stop shop. All my stuff is on there.
Okay,
Yeah.
and then tell me about this freebie that you're offering.
Yeah, so I have my second multi-author book. It's called the Change series. It's actually series 18, so they've been doing it for a long time. And it's 20 different practitioners or whatever, coaches, consultants, I don't even know what all the descriptions are, but
all those people.
Yeah, folks they're helping people with their wellness journey of some kind, or their self-improvement, that kind of thing. So I have an actual a digital copy, a PDF version of actually the whole book. I mean, I had obviously just my chapter I can share, but it's the whole book version. So that's on the freebie, which I think is in your show notes. So
okay, yes, I'll put it in the show notes.
Download that, and mine is at the very end, but there's all kinds of other good stuff in there too, so people can.
Okay, wow, you have a lot of stuff to share. That's fantastic. A lot
and
of
I'm working on. Well, I have. It's just in submission issue an app, so that is
yes. What's going on with the app?
And part of it's probably this Mercury thing that's like messing up with everything, but it's been submitted for a while, and then it rejects for something, and then they worked on it again, submitted, and so it's still in that submission process with all these little tweaks. But coming soon will be so that eventually, as soon as that's good to go, that will be on my Linktree.
And it's an app that you can use on your phone.
Yeah,
will help people with resources
or Apple, app store, and you can just download it and access it, and it'll be free stuff, and then stuff for really nominal membership type stuff I'll have weekly video chats, that kind of stuff on one of them. I have an online course that's really comprehensive. I'll be loading that on there, so there'll be all kinds of different options, all available just through the app.
Oh, I love it. Well, as soon as you get a link for the app, I can put that into the show notes later.
Perfect.
But in the meantime, you may want to go touch a tree.
Yes.
While you're dealing with
often as possible. And Mercury goes back into, whatever it's called, off of retrograde on Friday. So I was like, just sitting back and letting everything happen until Friday, and then just say, okay, now we can kind of regroup and look at tech stuff and expectations, but just like, oh, don't worry about anything right now.
Yeah. So is there anything that I didn't ask you that you wanted to share?
Oh, well, actually, I was going to say, I'm going to have to wrap up pretty soon here, because every Wednesday at noon Pacific, I do have a video podcast or a TV show. It actually goes on Roku and Apple TV and what is that, Amazon Fire, I think.
Okay.
Whatever. Every Wednesday it's a live show, so I'll be doing that in 45 minutes.
So how do people find that? Or is that on your Linktree as well?
That's a good question. It should be. I will have to check that before my show today. Make sure that is on there. It's winwinwomen.tv.
Winwinwomen.tv.
Yep.
Okay, I'll include that too.
It's has different sections depending on what kind of thing that you're looking for. Mine's under coaching and mentoring. And then whatever one's coming next is on the top, that you can scroll down and check out. I mean, there's, tons and tons of folks on there with different topics, different themes. So I have that every Wednesday. So
Every Wednesday. Well, you can be found in many places. I'm
I can,
impressed.
yes.
Yeah. Okay, well, thank you so much for coming on the show. I'm so happy that you took the time to do this. I know you have to get ready for your win-win women right now.
Yes.
So I will let you go, but let's talk again. And maybe we talk again when you get your app and we can talk about that.
Yeah, it's very exciting because right now all the free stuff is on there. And then once it's legit, good to go, no kickbacks, live, here we go. And then I'll be adding all that other stuff on there. So yeah, once that happens, that would
So
be
exciting.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I hope to see you soon and I will let you go. I am going to go outside and touch a tree right now.
Yay.
So thank you for that and teaching me that today and everything else that you taught all of us. I really appreciate it.
Absolutely. Thank you for all the great questions and the conversation. And yeah, it was lovely. Thanks to be good to be
Yeah.
here.
All right.
Okay. See
Bye.
you. Have a great day.